So Tim, thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing great, Judy. Thank you for
Yeah.
asking.
Okay, so can you tell me a bit about your role here at Ansafone?
Absolutely. My role at Ansafone is to bring new business to our contact centers. And part of what I do at Ansafone is to seek out that new business, and businesses also seek out us. But as we're getting to know each other and building a relationship between each other, we identify whether or not it would be a fit for Ansafone or not a fit. And the services that we provide are inbound contact center services, web chat, email support, a whole variety of different services. And those are typically processes that a company would have internally that are failing. And those are the types of services that they would seek us out to build solutions for.
And how did you get into the call center service business?
Sure. Actually, I at 22 years old, I worked for a New York firm that had moved to North Carolina, worked with them in operations, business development, sales. They had closed down operation, and from there I moved to a Florida-based company, a smaller answering service with a different owner than Randy Harmat, who was looking to sell his business. So Randy Harmat had purchased that business from in Florida, and so I was acquired along with that business into Ansafone. And today, my role is bringing new business to Ansafone.
That's wonderful. And I just heard earlier about some of your services for the contact center, but why would a business want to come to you? And I guess, is it more of a scaling service or is it an operation service? Can you elaborate more on that?
Both. I mean,
Yeah.
typically we're the Tylenol to their headache, and
Okay.
and what I mean by that is operationally, it's just not working for them. Um, as far as scalability, they just don't have the capabilities internally to scale, or they don't want to manage it. They don't want to manage the people. Many times we'll take on an entire process. Other times we'll take on an overflow
Okay, great.
to that process.
Thanks for explaining that. And so when you're servicing a client, what is your thought process or your philosophy in approaching a client?
Sure. Our thought process in approaching a client is to solve a pain point, of course,
Right.
and our approach is discovery. We really need to get into the nuts and bolts of what's going on, what's their expectation,
Mhm.
servicing that client, how are they doing it internally, and then from there, how can we take that from an internal perspective to an outsourced perspective and do it just as well. So we're literally building an extension of them, but on an outsider's perspective.
So how long have you been in this business total as far as years?
I would say about 28
Oh,
years.
wow, that's a long
Yeah.
time. So within that 28 years, what would you find as the most challenging for you?
The most challenging for me is saying no. And sometimes you need to say no to businesses that have high expectations toward um, doing it all, but having very little volume to do it with.
Right.
So sometimes, like for example, you may have a company that's offering 5 interactions within a day. And what I mean by interactions could be phone calls, chats, or emails, but they're looking for us to go into back-end systems and to have a litany of FAQs and other types of administrative tasks that are not really scripted tasks.
Mhm.
So from there, when you have low volume, high touch, it's not a fit. And some clients, you have to massage their expectations and water it down and say, we can get there, but let's start here. And then
Right.
other times they just want to get there and not start there, and you have to turn them away. So
Um,
turning away an opportunity is difficult, and I'd have to say it is, the most challenging, because we want to serve everyone, but not everyone's a fit, and it's for the better interest of the potential client, and it's also for the better interest of the company as well.
right. But generally speaking, you still customize most of your service plans, right?
Absolutely. We
And you're
customize the service plans. We customize the way that we'll handle an
right,
interaction. Um, as long as the components come together to make it make sense to do that.
right. So if a business, let's say a Fortune 500 company, and I hear that you also service government entities as well, like FEMA and Hurricane
Absolutely.
Sandy in the past, which are really huge accounts. Um, I guess my question as a business owner or other business owners would be, why would they come to you? There's so many of them out there nationally.
They come to us because, again, we'll circle back to customization, but it's also the level of communication and the level of detail that we look at when we're onboarding a customer, and that is, or a potential customer, and that is the key. When it comes to Fortune 500 companies or government entities, typically there are what we call our RFPs or RFIs, which are requests for either information from us for them, or vice versa. And it's a matter of just discovery, capabilities, technology. There's so many different areas to look at when you're trying to bring those types of clientele over into the company. Matching the capabilities is very important to understanding a complete scope of work. Sometimes we get the information, sometimes it's piecemealed, so we have to do additional calls, bring in additional operational staff members, they have to bring in their additional technical team. But at the end of the day, bringing everything all together to mutually agree that we are a fit is really the key in obtaining Fortune 500 companies or government contracts.
Okay.
There's a process involved.
Right. So it sounds like there's quite a lot of vetting going on also.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're vetting us, we're vetting
Mhm.
them.
Got it. Okay. So you're pretty selective with who you work with, it sounds like.
It's not more or less being selective. It's
Right.
it's really just a matter of the handshake.
I
As
see.
long as we can achieve the handshake mutually, then
Right.
we can service anyone.
Right. Got it. Okay, great. Thank you. So, my other question is, since you've been in this business for 28 years, you definitely probably have encountered some very difficult situations with clients and accounts. Can you share maybe one that you find as extremely challenging and you had to make some sort of decision on your own, and how did you handle it, resolve that?
Sure, sure. Actually, one of the most difficult clients I've handled actually was more recently. It was with a very high-strung client whose only communication skills was to yell and to cuss, thinking he would always
Oh
be a
no.
priority over everyone else,
Mhm.
stressing out the client services team when the real root of the problem was actually his own internal team dropping the ball. Um, pre-
Right.
Preparing for the initial call in advance, with him really helped us to strategize, letting once we were able to once we were able to figure out the problem, um, our strategy was, okay, let's get on a call, let's let him speak first, then disclose our findings. When his tone then dropped from irate to apologetic, it gave me and the team the opportunity to firmly set the rules of conduct and communications. And then since then, we've successfully developed a professional rapport with the client onward. And today he remains generally pleasant on the phone. However, when a new person enters the
Right.
equation,
Yeah.
myself and another colleague have to join in on that call because we've
Right.
already conditioned him to, the way we're going to do business with him. And it was a very challenging um,
Mhm.
uh, client based on just his personality and
Mhm.
just the way that he conducts himself.
Well, that's pretty phenomenal that you were able to transform that situation. So that says a lot about you as an account manager. That's amazing. And so that this kind of segues to my other question is, I mean, it's very clear that you're able to do conflict management and resolutions. So how else do you prep, I guess, your relationship with a new client?
Prepping a relationship with a new client is all about information gathering,
Right.
and it's a matter of really developing um, some information beforehand before you even
Mhm.
enter into a phone call or a conversation with a client. If you know that you're working with something that's complex, set a meeting invite to a later date so you can do research on that company, take a look at the website, take a look at the person that you're talking to, go to LinkedIn, find out what your common interests are. Um, have some preliminary information so that this way you can already have some answers, before the questions are asked. And that gives them a sense of comfort that they know that they're working not only with someone that understands what they need, but a
Right.
company that's taken time, to do some research and get to know them, because this is going to be a relationship that's hopefully would last for quite a long time. People aren't looking to jump ship and go
Mhm.
to the next provider when they
Right. That
see,
makes sense.
another boat, across the
Yeah.
sea. They really want long term. It's just a
Right.
matter of setting that tone right from the beginning.
Yeah. Longevity sounds like a really strong, strong core value, if you want to call it that.
Mhm.
I remember when I interviewed your CEO, Randy Harmat, he talked a lot about longevity with employees and client relationships as well. So, yeah, that's wonderful. Is there anything that you would like a client to know about you as an account manager that they may not get from, let's say, a web page or, a LinkedIn profile or some sort of information that you would see online?
You know what? What I would like people to know about me is that I never go away, which means,
Right? That's good to
and
know.
what that means
Uh-huh.
is right from the beginning, I don't let go of my clients. I mean, of course, I have to let them go to their program managers, but if there's
Mhm.
ever a breakdown in communications, I'm literally known as the 24/7 guy, and I do that for a reason, because I'm confident in our team, our capabilities, the processes that we have in place for our clients to communicate when they need assistance. And I would have to say, in the industry, I don't know of any other contact center that has really put together a strong support system that we have, down to the smallest customer. Our
Right,
smallest customers get the same exact support that our largest customers get, and that makes them feel important, that makes them want to stay. But at the same time, they know that they can pick up the phone, and if they don't get me immediately, I call them back pretty quickly.
right,
But they go through the process. They don't jump right to me. They'll go to their client services manager, who builds that relationship with them. They go through the process of reaching out to our on-call technical staff and to the on-call technical team that's also 24/7. So I have been put to the test, and literally, right to the end, I'm always here.
that's wonderful. I think you answered my last question, which was what is your biggest asset at Ansafone Contact Centers? And I think you explained it pretty thoroughly. So thank you so much. Is there a message you'd like to share with the world or anything you'd like to communicate?
You
Also
know,
on
that is on
LinkedIn.
my profile page,
It
Judy.
is.
Yes, it
What
is.
what is
I want my customers to know that
yeah,
when we succeed together, it
right.
enables me to do all the good things that I can do to change what I want to see, in the world and to help others. And
Mhm.
I'm an advocate uh, for charity and for spending my extra time in charitable activities, and I do what I do, and it allows me to do for others.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for coming on. Really enjoyed the conversation with you. And where can we find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Okay. You can also find me by calling me direct on my business phone.
Okay, great. We'll put
Should I
that in
give
the
that to
social
you,
media.
Judy?
Yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
what is your URL?
My URL, well, actually,
The
we
company
have
URL.
our company URL is www.ansafone, A-N-S as in Sam, A, F as in Frank, O-N-E. Some people confuse us with Ansafone
And
with a
it's
P, but
.com.
it's Ansafone with an F. Yeah,
Yes,
.com.
wonderful.
Absolutely.
We will put your information with your cell phone and your email in the social media descriptions. And again, thank you so much, Tim, and we will see you next time.
Absolutely. Looking forward to
Thank
it.
you.